All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I want to thank everybody who's here today. Thank everybody who's going to be watching this at home or their office. Welcome here to the Business Solutions Center. We'd like to specifically thank Lisa Robertson, who's going to be speaking to us today about some services that we have here. So we do have a gift to give away for someone who is here today, and that is sponsored by the Brookville Flower Shop. So if you're not here listening on video, you don't get that opportunity, and you're missing out on some lovely, lovely centerpiece. But I'm going to go ahead and introduce Lisa Robertson. Joined Montgomery County in November of 2015. She currently serves as an Employer Services Coordinator, specializing in regional business outreach. Prior to this, she served as project lead for a sectional partnership for National Emergency Grant. Through the promotion of this grant, she actively engaged with employers, training providers, and dislocated workers for this region. Ms. Robertson also has experience facilitating state and federal training initiatives and has a passion for advancing programs to assist the dislocated workers. Ms. Robertson is a multi-certified training and development professional whose background includes diverse industry sections such as hospitality, airline, human resources, distribution and logistics, and workforce development. She was also a huge help to Angie, helping us learn about the Montgomery County CARES grant, which a lot of folks got a chance to take advantage of and build that into their business, which helped tremendously in 2020. So no further ado, Lisa Robertson.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody to the Business Solutions Center. Thank you for that introduction. As you can tell, I'm a very busy person. So it's nice to see all of you here at the Business Solutions Center. I see some familiar faces. Some of you I know have been here in the past. And are there any new people to this area, to the Business Solutions Center? Anyone that's never been here before?
To the center. Yeah.
All right. So just to give a brief overview of what we do here and what our whole idea is about, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about some workforce resources and services that are available to you as employers. But the vision of the Business Solutions Center when we opened almost 5 years ago was to be a single entry point for area businesses. We want to be a single stop, if you will. We want to be able to connect you very quickly with resources and services that the county offers so that you're freed up to spend time working at a business instead of trying to dig to find information. We have a lot of industry partners and business partners within the region, almost 500 of them right now. Miami Valley CTC is one of our business partners, and so we're trying to make connections all the time. For example, we also have connections with Community and Economic Development. An example of how we can connect you with their services and resources. That's easy to say. Perhaps your building needs to you need to add on, but you don't know what kind of permits or zoning information that you might need. Instead of spending time digging for that, let myself know or someone here at the Business Solutions Center, and we'll connect you with the people that can help you with that. Maybe you're looking for property because your business is really expanding, or perhaps you just need maybe some storage area to lease for a short period of time. Again, those are types of things that we can help you with. Also, as you can see here at the Business Solutions Center, we've got this great room for events. It's currently set up to accommodate half of what we're normally able to do. If it's set up classroom style like this, if we set it up to full capacity, we can accommodate 96 people in here. So it's a great facility. There are 3 drop-down screens in the front and there are 2 in the back. So if you're using this for workshops, or you want to put people in groupings and things like that, everybody can see. So that's a great opportunity, I think, to use this. And did you hear me say that it's free? That's what's one of the biggest draws. Additionally, we have a conference room that pre and post-COVID will accommodate 18 comfortably. It has video conferencing capabilities and large screens on either side so that, again, everybody can see and everybody is comfortable. We have a an area under kind of a lounge and also a cafe area, which the cafe is currently closed to the public, but we hope to get that opened back up again. Because, you know, sometimes during the day, you just need to get away. You just need to get out of the office for a little while. This is a great resource for that. People come in, they'll bring lunch, have a working lunch. I've seen people have small meetings out there. So it's just a great way to get away. Also, if you have clients that are coming into the area from outside the state or whatever, as you can tell today, it's easy to find, lots of parking. So we are available, and we would love to have you use the space. There are some resources over here on the table. I was looking, there is a brochure for the Business Solutions Center that you can look at the website on the back and do a virtual tour if you want. There's also a number where you can call to check for availability and reserve the space if you want to do that. Some of the other services that we offer here are listed on the screen over there. So for example, incentives and financing, that's a connection that we can make for you. We can help you find local and state incentives as well as workforce incentives, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a moment. There are also financial types of connections that we can make for you if you're looking for different financial products for capital expenditures and things like that we can help you with. So again, we don't do that here, but we make the connections for you. We connect the dots. So my role right now is as an employer services coordinator. That's a fancy way of saying that I'm a liaison between you, the business, and these different resources and services. So often I go out and I meet with businesses, and I've got a sign-up sheet over there on that table too if you're interested in having me come out and sit down with you and go into more detail about some of the things that we offer. I'm more than happy to do that. We can also set up video chats. But there are only two of us that do this. The industry sectors that I represent are manufacturing, construction, warehousing and distribution, and cybersecurity. My coworker has retail, healthcare, restaurants, and she's always getting samples. You know, she's bringing back food all the time, and I can't eat gears and nuts and bolts, so I'm a little jealous about that. But anyway, I have more iron in my diet than she does because of that. Anyway, we're more than happy to go out and visit with you. From the workforce side, the connections that we primarily make are with a team called the Talent and Recruitment Team. They're actually located over at the Job Center. And typically that team will hold 3 job fairs annually. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do any last year, and we haven't yet this year. But there's a construction job fair every February. There is a job fair held over at UD in the spring, in April typically, that's open to all business sectors. And then there's one in the fall over at the Nutter Center. That's usually in September, and again, that's open to all industry sectors. So if you're in a hiring mode, sometimes that's a great investment. Also, things that the talent and recruitment team can do is they offer drug screens, and they can do background checks, but there is a fee for that. Anything else they do is free of charge. And one of the things that I try to promote the most for them is they have the capability to post jobs for you, and they can also help recruit for you. So how many of you right now are looking for people? Anybody? Okay, a few of you. And I can tell you that no matter what industry sector I'm talking to, or even my coworker, we're both hearing the same thing, and that is I need people. I needed them 2 weeks ago. I need people who will stay more than 2 or 3 days, and I need people who will stay after I've made a job offer to them. They don't even show up. So how can we work around that? It's a frustrating term is basically what it amounts to. So I'll talk in a few minutes about some alternative types of workforce that you might want to consider, but I do want to go back to the job posting for you. If you're interested, let me know. I'll make a referral to the talent and recruitment team. They will assign a dedicated recruiter to you, and that recruiter will either have had a conversation with you in addition to sending some information so that they learn a little bit more about your company. Sometimes they'll even come out and take a tour so that they have a better understanding of what your culture is and exactly what you're looking for. They'll come back and post the jobs on a website called Ohio Means Jobs. And some of you may be familiar with that website. It is actually statewide, and a lot of employers do use that website. If you post jobs on there, then you're responsible for monitoring the resumes as they come in. The advantage to letting our talent and recruitment team do the postings for you is they will post them, but then that dedicated recruiter will actually be the one who takes a look at those resumes as they come in. And from an HR standpoint, it's a tremendous time saver because they're doing that front end weeding for you. If you want only resumes that match the criteria you're looking for, that's all they'll send you. If you prefer to see all of them, they'll send all of them. That's entirely up to you. But it is a great, great time saver. And I try to explain to people as well, especially from the HR community, another advantage that came to me after a few years ago about utilizing Ohio Means Jobs. Before I came to Montgomery County, I worked for a company and was downsized. So I registered for unemployment. What I realized was that anyone in the state of Ohio who registers for unemployment has to put a resume on Ohio Means Jobs. But in addition to that, I had to do an interest survey. So it was asking questions like, how far are you willing to travel to look for work? I said 20 miles. And at that time I was doing training, I was doing HR, and I was doing recruiting. So that's where my strengths and interests pretty much shined, if you will. And when my aha moment happened was a couple of days later, when I started seeing in my email 5 and 6 job leads for companies within a 20-mile radius of my home that were within my areas of interest. So I realized not only is the system working for job seekers, but it's also working for the employers. Because I know enough about recruiting, I've done it enough years in different jobs and so forth, that if a job seeker doesn't put in the right keyword, if they don't speak your industry language, they may miss your ad completely. So this way, Ohio Means Jobs is working for you as well. So again, just for what it's worth, it's just one of those little trivial things, but I think it's important to know that it's helping your efforts, if you will. So the job posting and recruiting is a huge piece that we try to talk to people about. In addition to that, we have a youth program for youth 14 to 24 years old. I cannot talk today. Dave? I think it's you. I think it's your fault. Must be. I'm kidding. Anyway, so the program is designed primarily, we like to focus on the summer program for youth 14 to 17 years of age. And this is a really great program because it's designed to bring these students in to give them exposure and experience to what it's like to work in a work environment, to teach them some responsibility, expectations, and those types of things. And if you're using the summer program, the county will pay their wages while they come and work for you 20 hours a week. The county also pays their workers' comp. So it's a great opportunity for the students, but it's also an opportunity for you. And I have a harder time sometimes placing students or recommending them because in manufacturing and construction, typically you have to be at least 18 years old. So that's a big problem right there. However, let's not exclude the fact that you may have office areas, and they're great there. People that have utilized these students, especially in the office area, can't say enough about their computer skills, how great they are at data entry and that type of thing. So again, just kind of thinking about those. From the standpoint of labor and where do you find candidates, and you've scraped the bottom of the barrel, you're using staffing agencies and they've got churn. What do you do? What do you do? So, one of the things that I've tried to think about is there have to be alternatives out there. And sometimes as employers, we have to reinvent ourselves or reinvent the way that we do things. So there are a couple of options that I like to just plant those seeds, and if you're interested, I can make connections for you. But one of them are we have a huge amount of veterans here in Montgomery County. Let's put them to work. They work for us, let's do them a favor, okay? So those are connections that I can make for you. There are individuals who've been incarcerated that are re-entering the workforce, and Montgomery County has an office of re-entry. And in that program, they go through a 4 or 5 week program where they're learning decision-making skills, they're learning soft skills, and they're learning how to put a resume together and how to interview and things like that. These are individuals that are just looking for a second chance. And I understand too that in some industries, because of maybe DOD regulations and things like that, you cannot hire people that are felons, whatever, different levels of offenses. But it is a resource, something to think about. So if you're interested in that, again, that's a resource connection that I can make for you. And we've been very successful with that, I'm happy to say. I actually was just at a business the other day and I was mentioning that, and the gentleman said, he said, I will do everything I can to employ these folks. He said, because I'm an ex-offender. And he said, it was so hard for me in the beginning because no one wanted to hire me. He started out sweeping the floors, and today he's the president of a multi-million-dollar company because somebody gave him a chance. So, you know, that's a happy story, and it's an option for you. Another option for you would be there's a tremendous immigrant and refugee population here in Montgomery County, more so in the city of Dayton. These are people that want to work. Many of them have their own transportation. And in many cases, you know, transportation has been an issue for your workers trying to get to work. The immigrant and refugee population, we have two resources. We have Catholic Social Services, who have employment specialists who try to place these individuals, as well as Miami Valley CTC's Aspire program. We work very closely with them, trying to make connections. And the biggest thing that I hear is, well, I don't have an interpreter. Well, you may not need an interpreter. You may not. There may be situations where these resources can connect you with someone who speaks the language that can act as an interpreter for you. And in many cases, these individuals speak English. Another barrier that we identified was that as employers, we require a GED or a high school diploma before we'll even consider them, before we'll even have them fill out an application. Is there something that we can do in lieu of that? Because a lot of these individuals have high school education. Many of them are college graduates, but they can't prove that because they left their homeland with the shirt on their back. Or if they tried to contact someone back home in their home country to get those records, the place has been destroyed. So again, you've got a willing, waiting workforce. We've got employers who need people. How can we connect those dots? So Miami Valley CTC has been instrumental in that, in coming up with some alternatives to the GED and the high school diploma through testing. And that I think has been very successful. But again, it's an alternative. It's something for you to think about, okay? Also, they developed the Immigrant and Refugee Employer Roundtable. And that was, I think, in mid-2019, I believe. We weren't able to have any meetings here last year, but the whole idea was, how can we as employers from a lot of different industries, let's get together and talk about this. Here's what we need, and here's a possible resource. How do we do that? So if you're interested in being connected and being involved in the Employer Roundtable or getting invitations to that, again, if you'll sign up on that little sheet over there, I'll make sure that you get on that list. At least it's opening doors and dialogue. Another alternative for workforce to consider is opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities. And keep in mind that there are different types of disabilities. So some individuals, there may be cognitive disabilities, but if you've got a job that's repetitious, like packaging, something like that, I've had employers tell me that they're the greatest workers we have. They take pride in what they do. They have a ride to work. They have a ride from work. They're constantly there. Think about that. But there are also people who can work in the office. Perhaps they're visual impairments or hearing impairments and things like that. It does not negate their ability to do a great job for you. So again, those are connections that I can make for you. So that's kind of on that workforce piece right there. Different alternative avenues to think about. Now, a couple of programs that I really want to hone in on that I think can be of great value to you are 2 reimbursement programs for training. One is called Project Hire, and it's been around for a very long time, and you may have heard about it. I've got some flyers over there for that as well. But Project Hire is designed to offset the cost of training a new hire. Because if you've done any of the advertisements on Indeed and LinkedIn and things like that, and I forgot to mention that recruiter, if we give you a recruiter, we'll also look at Indeed and LinkedIn. I forgot to mention that, I know. But it's expensive. It is truly expensive, so anything you can do to kind of recoup some of that cost is definitely an added value for you. So project hire is, you get to choose the individual. We just need to talk with them before they start work for you. So let's say you start somebody on a Monday, we just need to talk to them sometime the week prior, okay? Because we need to determine eligibility for that individual to participate. And as far as who's eligible to participate, it's across the boards. I mean, it's a very broad brush, so that's why we do it. But examples of eligible candidates would be, for example, any of those groups that I've mentioned before: re-entry, immigrant and refugees, opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities would be eligible. It could be someone who's currently receiving some sort of assistance, but it doesn't have to be. It could be someone who was dislocated, someone who lost their job due to no fault of their own, and there are a lot of those folks out there right now. It could be someone who lost their business because of COVID. It could be a recently separated veteran, and we see, when we're talking about recently separated with the veteran group, there's a 4-year window there. So you literally could have someone who got out of the military 3 years ago, they would be eligible. A trailing spouse could be eligible. And we see a lot of that in this area because we have active duty military who were transferred into Wright Pat. If their spouse had to give up a full-time job, that spouse, the trailing spouse, would be eligible. It could be someone who's underemployed. I mean, so it's literally across the board. They also look at income levels. Last year, because unemployment was so low, they were actually looking at, I think it was 250% of the poverty level. What does all that mean? An example would be, you could have a household of 4 making $64,000 and they could be eligible. So again, that's why we need to talk to them, just to determine that eligibility. So let's say we've talked to 3 people and one of them meets eligibility criteria. That's great. You still get to hire all 3, but one of them, we're going to reimburse 50% of the wages up to $8,000, or during a period of 6 months, whichever comes first. They ask that you pay the individual at least $12 an hour and provide a training plan. And with the training plan, they'll provide a template that you can use and you can add or move it, manipulate it any way you need. But let's just say with whatever your business is, typically it takes 6 weeks to get somebody up to speed and to get them comfortable with the job. You're going to outline that on that training plan and kind of check mark, if you will, and we will reimburse the wages for that 6-week plan. Again, the cap is $8,000. You may not go through all the $8,000 or a 6-month time span, and you may not go through all that. Typically they don't. It's one or the other. And sometimes they don't even do that. Sometimes people have them up to speed within a week. But if you're still going to get some of that money back, it's a great tool for you. So that's wage reimbursement for new hires. The other program is called Incumbent Worker Training. And as the name implies, incumbent, it's for your existing workforce. And this has been a great tool for the last few years that we've been using here in Montgomery County, and a lot of area counties are starting to kind of get on board with that. It's taken quite a while, but I think they've seen how successful we've done it here. The way the program works with Incumbent, it can be used in one of 2 ways, either for layoff aversion or for skills upgrade for your existing workforce. An example of layoff aversion for one that we've done in the past several times would be back in, I can't remember if it was 2017 or 2018, but the ISO 9001, the quality standard, 2015 version, had to have training and certification done by September of one of those 2 years, and I don't recall which one it was. But a lot of employers, especially in manufacturing, their downline customers were saying, look, you don't have this certification, and if you don't get it, we're gonna have to take our business elsewhere. So we had a lot of manufacturing employers with their backs against the wall. They don't want to lose that contract and they don't want to lay people off. So we were able to come in and reimburse a portion of the cost of the training for that ISO certification. By getting that, then they got the certification, they didn't have to lay people off. Now, how much can we reimburse? That's based on your head count. So whatever your full-time equivalent is, It's a sliding fee scale. If you have 50 or fewer employees, that's the sweet spot. We can reimburse 90% of the cost of the training. And I can tell you for the ISO training, and I was involved with that with different training providers, it usually ran about $30,000. So if you can get 90% of that back, especially for small businesses, that's huge. If you have 51 to 100, we can reimburse 75%, and 101 or greater, 50%. So it's never less than 50%. If we do something for skills upgrade, we look for one of three outcomes: either an industry recognized credential, or an increase in pay, because now that individual or those individuals are more valuable to you, or a promotion. And there are a lot of different types of training that we've done with this for skills upgrade. When I say industry recognized credential, it could be maybe you have someone that has been working out in the production area for a while and they want to come work in the front office, but they really have not really dealt with Microsoft or Excel maybe for years or maybe never at all. That's something that we'll take a look at, because that would be a skills upgrade, and they would get us an industry recognized credential with that. Something that they could literally, if they had to move, they could take it with them and somebody else is going to recognize it. That's the beauty of that. Hopefully, they're going to be getting a promotion and or an increase in pay in that example. There have been times when we've hit the trifecta, we've hit all three. I worked with a company a couple of years ago that had 3 individuals who had been with them for 20 and 25 years, literally came up through the ranks, and this company was doing their succession planning, and they wanted those 3 people to be the people to carry on. But none of them had ever really had any type of formal training in leadership, coaching, nothing like that. So we were able to connect them with a training provider that had a 6-month program. These 3 individuals went through that program. They got a certificate, they got a promotion, they got an increase in pay, and they're all now in C-suite positions. So I mean, it literally can go across the board, the different types of training that we can do. Quality is a huge thing right now. We can do lots of quality training. You can choose the provider, or because I've been doing this for a while, I know a lot of area providers that have these types of services, and I can tell you who does what. You make the decision and you decide who you want to go with. But just know that that's out there. So again, the quality types of trainings, there are different ISO certifications. If you are involved manufacturing something that, or maybe you know of a potential client down the line that is going to ask you to manufacture parts for that's going to be involved with aircraft. You're going to need the AS9100D. So think long term. You may not need it today, but do you know something that may be coming down the line that you might need? There are environmental certifications, waste management, all different types. So, think about that. And I can give you a list of just several different types of training. If you're involved with food, there are food handling certifications. But keep in mind that the ISO certification, International Standard of Operations, if you could put that on your website, that's like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Everybody recognizes it and knows that you've got a quality product. So it's a great way to advertise as well. So that's what that's about. I'm trying to think of some other examples. Perhaps you get a new piece of equipment in your facility, but no one knows how to run it. So you need to have that equipment manufacturer come to your facility to teach your team how to use that piece of equipment. They're going to charge you to do that. So again, that's something we can take a look at. It's training. If we can reimburse for the cost of the actual training and any material that they may bring, handbooks, workbooks, those types of things, manuals, we can offset the costs of those. We can't work with any type of travel expenses, hotels, travel, food, we can't, and lodging, we can't do that. But we can, again, work with the training itself and any materials. And conversely, if you need to send a representative to them, same thing. We can reimburse part of the training as well as the manuals. So it's a great tool, and like I said, there are a lot of different types of training that we can definitely take a look at. It doesn't necessarily have to be quality, it can be leadership, it can be computer enhancements, anything like that. So those are great tools, great incentives. I can tell you that right now with incumbent worker training, There's a lot of money on the table right now that needs to be spent. Help me help you. If you've got questions, if you've got a program that you think that might meet that criteria, let's sit down and talk about it, because there's a good opportunity that we can do that. It's on a first come, first served basis. We have a lot of people who have filled out applications at this point that are being considered. But if the money were to run out, let's say for 2021, it will be back. So that's a good thing. We may not be able to accommodate you or your training this year. I think we can, but if something would happen that we cannot, there's always 2022. And the same thing with Project Hire. That one's not even a first come, first served. That just actually is an ongoing stream. And like I said, it's been around for at least 15 years that I know of. So I realize that's been a download of information, but I appreciate your attention. And does anyone have any questions that perhaps I can answer for you? Well, I appreciate you coming out on this beautiful sunny day. I'm sorry.
Question. We work obviously with a lot of small businesses, and the one thing that the same concept I keep hearing from them is, you have a guy who started a business because he was good at a trade. He got busy, now I need to start hiring people. I have no idea how to do it. And they're working themselves to death, getting burnt out. Does this place, is that an area that we can bring that person down here and they can walk them through the step-by-step of what it takes to hire an employee? As far as obviously you've got to add workers' comp, you've got payroll now that you didn't, more expenditures to payroll you didn't know you had.
Yeah, that is a great question, and that's not something that we do specifically here, but we'll make the connection for people that do that. In fact, there are some resources that I have from the state and also the county that I typically send to people, and it's almost like a workbook, and it's a step-by-step, and it addresses a lot of those things that a lot of people may not know that they need to do. What type of forms do you need, and all of those different types of things.
They're reluctant to hire because they don't know. They're scared of the next step. If you just had a map of the next step, well, we can do it. And I think it'll keep businesses from failing early, from burnout.
Exactly. And we can make those referrals. There are also there are companies out there that will they can do like a part-time HR, or you can bring them on as full-time, because I know a lot of the smaller companies, they don't have the revenue stream for a full-time HR person, but there are businesses out there that's what they can do, and that helps eliminate a lot of that type of thing, and would save them from all of the reading away. But we can again make the connections to those resources that we'll do everything we can to help them out, because that's the backbone of our nation, are those small businesses. We want to do everything we can to keep them. Any other questions? And I was joking when I said thanks for coming out on this beautiful sunny day. Thank you for doing the backstroke to get here. We appreciate that. And Angie, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Appreciate it.
So thank you, Lisa, for all of that information. Definitely an opportunity of gathering all that together in one place is phenomenal. So definitely what we will look at doing at the Chamber is posting your website on our webpage so that people can see that and reach out if they have questions after watching the video. And we'll also take some literature back to share with people who step into our office. So I know for me, taking back to our recruiting team is Ohio Means Jobs and the Project Hire. I don't think any of our recruiting people have ever talked about those. So I work for someone who's a little bigger, but every little bit helps. And when you're hiring 100, 120 people in a year, it can help. So I want to thank you for the opportunity for everyone to come down here, for business owners and managers. If anybody would be interested in speaking today, we have a little bit of free time. So I wanted to offer that up as well. And we got people in the back that always like to talk.
No, he said in the back.
I did say in the back. But if anybody would like to speak to their specific business or things they want to get out to our members, this would be a good opportunity. All right. So I do want to thank all the directors from the Chamber of Commerce that are here today. And then we will look at doing the door prize. And then as we're getting the door prize up here, I think I'll mention some upcoming dates. So March 25th, we have a United States Small Business Administration, a monthly presentation. March's topic is access to the capital, building banking relationships. That'll be located at the Bison and Boar in West Alexandria on Interstate 35. Other SBA presentations, April 22nd is credit report and scoring. May 27th is small business marketing. June 24th is small business procurement. So some of the stuff that Zach was kind of questioning is, we have a lot of small businesses that we work with specifically, and we want to make sure that they're getting the assistance they need. We hate seeing small businesses who have 1 to 2 members struggling when they know they need help, but they're so bogged down with the work they have that they can't get out there. So this is an opportunity to reach out for some help and to get that. So April 21st are after hours. That's still to be announced with everything still going on. And then we always want to wish the best for our 70th Brooklyn Community Picnic. That's July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Plan is that is still going on. We know we still got a lot of decisions to make there, and we'll go from there. So this